Hello, Gooners, and welcome back to Arsenal Daily News, where we bring you unfiltered analysis and honest conversations about everything Arsenal Football Club. Today, we need to talk about something that nobody in the media wants to address properly. We're going to dive deep into the Victor Gyökeres situation, the impossible standards being set by Erling Haaland, and why Arsenal fans need to have a serious reality check about what we are expecting from our Swedish striker. But that is not all. We have also got breaking tactical analysis that challenges everything you think you know about Arsenal's attack. Micah Richards has made some explosive comments about our over-reliance on Bukayo Saka and the solution he is proposing to completely transform how we approach the business end of this title race. 6 goals in 19 games. 4 goals from our top scorer by mid-December. These are the numbers that have Arsenal fans divided right down the middle. Some of you are calling for patience. Others are hitting the panic button. Today, we are going to examine both sides of this debate with the kind of depth and honesty you will not find anywhere else on YouTube. We're going to break down what Dean Ashton said on TalkSport about Gyökeres. We're going to analyze why the Haaland effect has fundamentally changed how we judge strikers in the Premier League. We are going to discuss whether Noni Madueke is the answer to our creativity problems or just another expensive gamble. And here is the uncomfortable truth we need to face. Arsenal is top of the table, but our goal distribution is a genuine problem. No player has scored more than 4 goals this season. That is not title-winning form, and we all know it. So what does Mikel Arteta do? What tactical adjustments need to happen? And most importantly, how long do we give our struggling striker before we admit there's a real problem? This is not going to be your typical highlights and transfer rumors video. We are going deep into the tactical nuances, the psychological pressure, and the hard truths about where Arsenal really stands in this title race. Some of what I am about to say will challenge your opinions. Some of it might make you uncomfortable, but that is exactly why we need to have this conversation. Whether you agree or disagree with my take, I want to hear from you in the comments. This channel thrives on real debate, not echo chambers. So hit that like button if you're ready for an honest discussion. Subscribe if you have not already, because we are dropping daily Arsenal content that cuts through the noise, and make sure your notifications are turned on so you never miss an episode. Right then, let's get straight into it. There's a lot to unpack today, and I am not holding back. This is Arsenal Daily News, and we are about to have a conversation that Arsenal fans desperately need to hear. Are you ready? Let us go. The Victor Gyökeres debate. Why Erling Haaland is changing how we judge Arsenal striker. Hello, Arsenal fans, and welcome back to Arsenal Daily Talk. Today, we need to have a serious conversation about Victor Gyökeres, Erling Haaland, and the unfair expectations that are being placed on our Swedish striker. This is a topic that nobody seems to be discussing properly, and it is time we change that. The current situation at Arsenal. Let me start with the facts. Victor Gyökeres has scored 6 goals in his first 19 appearances for Arsenal. Now, before you rush to the comment section, let me ask you something. Is 6 goals in 19 games really that bad for a striker who's been dealing with injury problems and is adapting to a completely new league? The answer should be no. But the problem is that many Arsenal fans do not see it that way. Arsenal signed Gyökeres for instant results. That much is clear. When you bring in a striker of his caliber, you expect him to hit the ground running and start banging goals from day one. But here is the issue. Some fans have taken the phrase instant results far too literally. Every single time Gyökeres steps onto the pitch and does not score, questions are raised about whether Arsenal made the right transfer decision. That is the reality of the situation right now. The criticism has been relentless. Gyökeres has not blown Arsenal fans away with his output. That is a fair assessment. But what people seem to forget is that the man is trying. He is working hard, running his socks off, and attempting to contribute to the team in multiple ways. The problem is that effort alone is not a valid measurement for success in the Premier League. Results matter. And in the world of strikers, results mean goals. The Haaland effect, an impossible standard. Here is where things get really interesting. Victor Gyökeres offers Arsenal something new. Whether he scores or not, his quality has been visible on the pitch. Anyone who watches the games closely can see what he brings to the team. But there is a massive problem that nobody wants to talk about, And that problem has a name: Erling Haaland. For any center forward arriving at a club that is challenging for the Premier League title, the competition is not just internal. It is not about competing with your teammates for a starting spot. The real competition is Erling Haaland. That is the benchmark. That is the standard against which every striker in the Premier League is now being measured. Arsenal should be scared of Haaland. I do not mean scared in the sense that we cannot compete with him. I mean scared of what he represents. Haaland has set the bar for other strikers in the English top flight, and right now, that bar is so high that no one else can get close to it. The Norwegian is scoring goals at a rate that is simply absurd. He makes it look easy. Week in and week out, Haaland is on the score sheet, and that has created a massive problem for every other striker in the league. The issue that no one speaks about is the impact of Haaland on other players. While his success is measured purely in goals, he actually lacks in other areas of his game. But you know what? That is completely okay. Nobody criticizes him for it, because the goals keep coming. It is the same with Mohamed Salah and his defensive contribution, or rather his lack of defensive contribution. Other wingers would be absolutely slammed for not tracking back and helping their fullback. But because Salah is so good at what he does best, scoring goals and creating chances, nobody really cares about his defensive work rate. This is the exact situation that Victor Gyökeres finds himself in. He has taken the time to adapt to a new league. He is combating injury problems. But the only measurement of his effectiveness at Arsenal is goals. Why? Because of what is happening in the Gunners' title rivals squad with Haaland. If Gyökeres were scoring more goals, there would be no talk of the other flaws that are being identified about him. That is exactly what happens with Haaland. The Norwegian has his weaknesses, but they are completely ignored because the goals keep flowing. What the experts are saying, it is not just Arsenal fans who have noticed this problem. Former Premier League striker Dean Ashton was speaking about this exact issue on TalkSport, and what he had to say was absolutely fascinating. Ashton suggested that Haaland actually does very little for Manchester City, but he earns all the headlines because of his goals. Let me share with you exactly what Ashton said. He started by pointing out that we do not criticize Haaland anymore because he scores the goals. Then he explained that Haaland barely touches the ball in some games. It will be his first attempt on goal, and he scores. Then at the end of the game, everyone goes on about how Haaland has been incredible. But as Ashton pointed out, he has not really been involved in the game. He is the most patient forward Ashton has ever seen in his whole life. Now, Ashton made it very clear that Haaland's patience while waiting for chances is incredible. There is no doubt about that. The man knows how to position himself and strike at exactly the right moment. But then Ashton mentioned Gyökeres, and he was actually prompted to defend the Arsenal striker. Here is what Ashton said about Gyökeres, and I want you to listen carefully because this is important. He said that Gyökeres actually does offer quite a bit when he is not scoring. The Swedish striker will continue to run. He will continue to chase. He will continue to try and pull people around. Ashton believed that Gyökeres is what Arsenal actually need. Ashton also made another crucial point that many fans seem to have forgotten. Gyökeres has just come back from an injury. We are not miracle workers here. You cannot just burst back from an injury and start scoring hat tricks every single week. That is not how football works. That is not how the human body works. Ashton finished by saying that as a number 9, strikers everywhere are struggling because of the way the game has gone. These comments from Dean Ashton should be welcomed by every Arsenal fan. It is crucial to consider different perspectives before we brand a player a failure after just 19 appearances. The bigger picture, modern striker struggles. Let me put this into perspective for you. The role of the number 9 has changed dramatically in recent years. The traditional striker who just stands in the box waiting for service is becoming extinct. Modern strikers are expected to press high, drop deep to link play, run the channels, hold the ball up, and create space for teammates. Oh, and by the way, they also need to score 20-plus goals a season. It is an impossible job description. Victor Gyökeres is trying to do all of these things while adapting to the most competitive league in the world. The Premier League is relentless. The pace is faster. The defenders are stronger, and the tactical sophistication is on another level compared to most other leagues. Players need time to adjust, And that is especially true for strikers. Think about it this way. When Gyökeres played in his previous league, he had time and space. He could read the game at his own pace. Now he is in the Premier League, where defenders close you down in seconds. The intensity never drops. One moment of hesitation, and the chance is gone. This is what adaptation looks like, and it takes time. But here is the cruel reality. Arsenal fans do not have patience because we are in a title race. We need results now. We need goals now. Every drop point feels like a disaster because we are competing against Manchester City, who have Erling Haaland. And that brings us right back to the central problem. The Haaland effect is real, and it is impacting how we judge our own striker. What Gyökeres actually brings to Arsenal. Let me tell you what I see when I watch Victor Gyökeres play for Arsenal. I see a striker who works incredibly hard for the team. His movement is intelligent. He drags defenders out of position, creating space for our attacking midfielders and wingers to exploit. He presses in the front, forcing opposition defenders into mistakes. He holds the ball up, bringing others into play. These are all valuable contributions that do not show up on the score sheet. The problem is that in today's football culture, especially on social media, none of that matters if you're not scoring goals. Fans want to see the ball hit the back of the net. They want to see their striker wheeling away in celebration. Everything else is secondary. And when you have Erling Haaland scoring goals for fun just down the road at the Etihad Stadium, the pressure on Gyökeres becomes even more intense. 6 goals in 19 appearances. Is that good enough? Honestly, it is not the output we were hoping for when we signed him, but context matters. Gyökeres has been dealing with injury issues. He has been adapting to a new league, a new team, new tactics, and new teammates. Rome was not built in a day, and strikers do not always hit top form immediately. What concerns me is not Gyökeres' performance. What concerns me is the lack of patience from some sections of our fan base. We are so desperate to compete with Manchester City that we expect our players to match Haaland's output immediately. But that is an unfair expectation. Haaland is a generational talent who was scoring goals in the Champions League before he even turned 20. He is an anomaly, not the norm. The Arsenal perspective, what we need. Arsenal need Gyökeres to come good. There is no question about that. We invested significant money in him because we believed he could be the striker to fire us to the Premier League title. That belief has not changed, but perhaps our timeline needs to be adjusted. The beauty of having a striker like Gyökeres is that even when he is not scoring, he contributes in other ways. Compare that to Haaland, who can be almost invisible for 75 minutes, but then score a goal and win the game. Both approaches have value, but they are measured differently by fans and pundits. If Gyökeres can stay fit for an extended period and get into a rhythm, I genuinely believe the goals will come. 6 goals in 19 games is not disastrous. It is just below what we hoped for. But strikers are confidence players. Once Gyökeres gets on a scoring run, once he feels that confidence flowing through him, we could see a completely different player. The question is whether Arsenal fans will give him the time he needs. In the age of social media, patience is a rare commodity. Every game is analyzed to death. Every miss is turned into a meme. Every poor performance is met with calls for the player to be sold. That is a reality of modern football, and it is not going to change. Learning from history. Let me remind you of something. Many great strikers have taken time to adapt to the Premier League. Thierry Henry, arguably the greatest striker in Arsenal history, scored just 1 goal in his first 8 appearances for club. 1 goal. Can you imagine the social media reaction if that happened today? Fans would be calling for his head after 3 games. Didier Drogba took time to settle at Chelsea. Luis Suarez needed a season to truly explode at Liverpool. Even Fernando Torres, who had a great first season at Liverpool, still needed time to fully adapt to the English game. The point is that world-class strikers often need time, and we should be willing to give Gyökeres that time. The difference today is that we have Erling Haaland as the comparison point. Haaland came into the Premier League and immediately started breaking records. He made it look easy from day one, but that is not normal. That is exceptional. We cannot expect every striker to replicate that kind of instant impact. The verdict: patience is required. So here's my take on the whole situation. Victor Gyökeres deserves more patience and understanding from Arsenal fans. Yes, 6 goals in 19 games is below expectations. Yes, we need him to score more if we're going to win the title. But no, we should not write him off after less than half a season. The Erling Haaland effect is real. It has changed how we judge strikers in the Premier League. Every forward is now compared to a player who is scoring at a rate we have rarely seen in English football history. That is not fair, but it is a reality we live in. Gyökeres offers Arsenal qualities that go beyond goals. His work rate, his movement, his willingness to press and create space for others. These things have value. They contribute to the team. But in a results-driven business, and in a fan base desperate for silverware, these contributions can be overlooked if the goals are not flowing. My message to Arsenal fans is simple. Give Gyökeres time. Support him through this difficult period. Remember that he is adapting to a new league while dealing with injuries. Remember that even the great Thierry Henry needed time to find his feet at Arsenal. And most importantly, remember that not every striker can be Erling Haaland, and that is okay. Dean Ashton was right when he defended Gyökeres on TalkSport. The Swedish striker does offer plenty when he is not scoring. He is what Arsenal need. We just need to be patient enough to let him find his rhythm and his confidence. The goals will come. The question is whether our fan base will give him the breathing room he needs to get there. That is all for today's episode of Arsenal Daily Talk. Thank you so much for watching. If you agree with my take on Victor Gyökeres, hit that like button and let me know in the comments. If you disagree, I want to hear from you too. Let us have a proper discussion about this because it is an important topic for Arsenal season. Do not forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. Until next time, keep supporting the Arsenal, and remember, patience is a virtue that could pay off big time this season. See you in the next one. Hello, Gooners, and welcome back to Arsenal Daily Talk, where we bring you the latest news, tactical breakdowns, and insider information on everything Arsenal Football Club. Today, we have got some absolutely massive developments to discuss, and trust me, you are going to want to stick around for every single minute of this video, because what I am about to share with you could have serious implications for Arsenal's title challenge this season. We are going to be diving deep into multiple breaking stories that have emerged over the past 24 hours. From transfer news that has got the entire football world talking, to tactical decisions that Mikel Arteta is facing right now, to player performances that are dividing opinion among Arsenal supporters. And here's the thing. Some of what you're going to hear today comes directly from the most reliable sources in football journalism. When Fabrizio Romano speaks, the football world listens, and we will be breaking down exactly what his latest updates mean for Arsenal Football Club and our ambitions this season. But before we get into all of that, I need to address something important. In the world of football media, especially on social media and YouTube, information travels fast, sometimes too fast. And not all of that information is accurate. Part of my job here at Arsenal Daily Talk is not just to bring you the news, but to verify it, question it, and give you the real story behind the headlines. So today we are going to separate fact from fiction. We're going to look at what is actually happening at Arsenal right now. We are going to discuss the tactical challenges facing Mikel Arteta. We are going to analyze player performances and transfer speculation. And most importantly, we are going to have an honest conversation about where this team is heading and what needs to happen for us to finally end that Premier League title drought. Whether you're watching this on your lunch break, during your commute, or relaxing at home after a long day, I promise you this is going to be worth your time. We have got exclusive insights, expert analysis, and a kind of in-depth tactical discussion that you will not find anywhere else on YouTube. So make sure you hit that like button right now if you are excited for today's episode. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already, because we are dropping daily Arsenal content that you absolutely cannot afford to miss. And turn on those notifications so you're always first to know when we upload new videos breaking down the latest Arsenal news. Right then, let's get straight into it. There's a lot to cover today, and I am not going to waste a single second of your time. This is Arsenal Daily Talk, and we are about to dive deep into the stories that matter most to Arsenal fans around the world. Are you ready? Let's go. Hello, Gooners, and welcome back to Arsenal Daily Talk. Today we have got some absolutely fascinating tactical discussion to dive into, and I have got to be completely honest with you right from the start. The article I am working from today contains some serious errors that we need to address before we can have a proper conversation about what is really going on at Arsenal Football Club. Now, I know that might sound like a strange way to start video, but building trust with you, our viewers, is absolutely paramount. So let me walk you through what the article claims, what the actual facts are, and then we can have a proper discussion about the real tactical situation facing Mikel Arteta and Arsenal. The article's claims and the reality. The article presents itself as current Premier League news, discussing Micah Richards urging Mikel Arteta to make changes to Arsenal's attack for an upcoming match against Everton. On the surface, this sounds like typical football punditry. Richards is a well-known former player and pundit, and tactical discussions about Arsenal are always relevant for us fans. However, here is where things get problematic. The article claims that Noni Madueke is an Arsenal player who joined from Chelsea for £50 million. It describes him as a summer signing who has mainly been Bukayo Saka's backup, but impressed by scoring twice in a Champions League match against Club Brugge. Now, according to my research to verify these claims, Noni Madueke did indeed join Arsenal from Chelsea in July 2025 for approximately £50 million. So that part appears to be accurate based on current information. The article also correctly states that he scored twice against Club Brugge on December 10th, which checks out. But here is where the article goes completely off the rails. It claims Arsenal beat Wolves 2-1 on December 7th, 2025, with Saka creating both goals. However, the actual match occurred on December 13th, not the 7th. Even more significantly, both Arsenal goals in that match were actually own goals, one by Sam Johnstone and one by Yerson Mosquera, both forced by Saka deliveries. So while Saka was instrumental, saying he created both goals is technically misleading when they were own goals. The article states Arsenal is 2 points ahead of Manchester City in the title race. But after the Wolves' victory, Arsenal was actually 5 points clear at the top, not 2. That is a massive difference when we're talking about title races. The Victor Gyökeres confusion. Here is perhaps the strangest error in the entire article. It lists Victor Gyökeres among Arsenal's top scorers, saying he has 4 goals this season alongside Saka and Leandro Trossard. Now, Victor Gyökeres is indeed an Arsenal striker who joined from Sporting CP in July 2025. But the way the article presents this is confusing because it seems to be treating him as just another player competing for the scoring lead, when he should presumably be leading that chart if Arsenal's attack is functioning properly. The bigger issue is that by lumping Gyökeres in with Saka and Trossard at 4 goals each, the article is essentially highlighting that Arsenal's striker has only scored 4 goals by this point in the season. If we are already in mid-December and your main striker has just 4 goals, that is actually quite concerning for a team challenging for the title. The article does not really interrogate this problem. It just lists the stat and moves on. What Micah Richards actually said. Now, let us get to the heart of the article, which is Micah Richards' comments on the Rest is Football podcast. According to the article, Richards said this, and I am paraphrasing here in my own words. Arsenal has a conundrum because Madueke is playing well and Saka is their best player, and they need both on the pitch at the same time, even though Madueke is not great on the left and is much better from the right. Richards also pointed out that Arsenal is too reliant on Saka all the time. He noted that Trossard and Martinelli need to do what Saka is doing from the left, because it feels like all the dangerous play comes from Saka and the right-hand side. His conclusion was that Arsenal needs to show more imagination and cannot keep relying on Saka to dig something out. It needs to be shared around. Now, this is actually a really valid tactical point, regardless of the errors elsewhere in the article. The over-reliance on one player for creativity is a genuine concern for any team with title ambitions. If opponents can successfully neutralize Saka, what happens to Arsenal's attacking threat? The tactical dilemma. Let us think about what Richards is really getting at here. He is identifying a structural problem in Arsenal's attack. On one side, you have got Saka, who is world-class, creating chances consistently, taking on defenders, delivering dangerous balls into the box. On the other side, you have got players who are not matching that output. The article mentions Martinelli and Trossard as players who need to step up from the left. This is interesting because both are talented players in their own right. Gabriel Martinelli has shown he can be devastating when he is on form, running at defenders with pace and directness. Leandro Trossard is a technically excellent player who can play multiple positions and has an eye for goal. But if Richards is right and the dangerous play is all coming from Saka's side, then something is not clicking on the left. Is it a tactical issue? Are the patterns of play too predictable? Is the left side not getting the same service or support? Or is it simply that Saka is operating at such a high level that everyone else looks less effective by comparison? The Noni Madueke solution. Richards' suggestion is to play Madueke alongside Saka, presumably to have two dangerous wide players who can create from both flanks. The problem, as he acknowledges, is that Madueke is much better from the right-hand side than the left. So how do you fit both him and Saka into the team when they both prefer the same position? The article mentions that Martin Keown, the Arsenal legend, suggested Madueke could play on the left in Arsenal's best 11 with Saka remaining on the right. But if Madueke is not as effective on the left, are you really solving the problem or just moving around? This is a conundrum that Arteta faces. You have got quality players, but finding the right balance and getting everyone performing at their peak in positions that suit them is a challenge. You cannot just throw all your best attackers on the pitch and hope it works. There needs to be tactical coherence, understanding between players, and a system that allows everyone to contribute. The scoring distribution problem. The article highlights that no Arsenal player has scored more than 4 goals this season. If we take that at face value, even acknowledging the errors elsewhere in the article, that is a striking statistic for a team challenging for the title. Think about the great title-winning teams. They typically have a striker hitting 20-plus goals, a couple of midfielders or wide players chipping in with double figures, and goals coming from throughout the team. If your top scorers are all on just 4 goals by mid-December, you are going to struggle to sustain a title challenge unless that changes dramatically in the second half of the season. This brings us back to the Victor Gyökeres situation. If he joined from Sporting CP where he was prolific, why has he only got 4 goals? Is he not getting the service? Is he not fitting into the system? Are there injury issues? The article does not provide these answers, but these are the questions Arsenal fans should be asking. The broader context. The article mentions Arsenal's 6-point lead after 13 matches before recent results, though it also contradicts itself by saying they are 2 points ahead, then later saying 5 points clear. Setting aside these inconsistencies, let us think about what a title challenge requires. Arsenal has been close in recent seasons, but has not quite got over the line. The team that wins the Premier League typically needs multiple goal threats, resilience when key players are unavailable, and the ability to grind out results even when not playing well. If you are too dependent on one player, you are vulnerable. Manchester City has been so dominant in recent years partly because they have goals throughout the team. Even when Erling Haaland does not score, others step up. Liverpool in their title-winning season had contributions from across the front line. Arsenal needs to develop that same depth of threat. What should Arteta do? So we come to the question the article poses. What should Mikel Arteta do for the Everton match on December 20th? Based purely on what the article presents, he has several options. Option 1. Stick with the current setup and trust that the players will start converting chances and sharing the goal burden more evenly. The argument for this is that you do not want to disrupt things when you are top of the table. Option 2. Bring Madueke into the starting lineup to provide more creativity and take some of the burden off Saka. The challenge here is where to play him. Do you put him on the left where he is less effective? Do you rotate him with Saka? Do you change the system entirely to accommodate both? Option 3. Focus on getting more from Martinelli and Trossard in their current roles rather than adding another player into the mix. Work on the patterns of play, the delivery into the box, the movement off the ball. Sometimes the solution is not personnel, but coaching and repetition. The article quotes fans on social media agreeing with Richards that Madueke's inclusion could unlock more imagination in the final third. And there is something to that. Fresh legs, a different skill set. A player in form can change the dynamic of a team. When Madueke scored twice against Club Brugge, he showed he has quality. The question is whether that quality fits into what Arsenal needs in the Premier League week in week out, the pressure on Saka. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is the immense pressure on Bukayo Saka. The article makes clear that he is Arsenal's best player and the focal point of their attack. That is a huge responsibility for any player, let alone someone who is still relatively young in football terms. When you are the player everyone looks to, when every attack goes through you, when you're the one creating chances and trying to unlock defenses, that takes a physical and mental toll. Opponents know to double up on you, to foul you, to do whatever it takes to stop you. And if you have an off day or if you pick up an injury, the whole team suffers. This is why Richards' point about needing more imagination and shared responsibility is so important. It is not just about giving Saka help. It is about protecting him from burnout and giving the team resilience when he is not available or not at his best. The title race context. The article mentions Arsenal chasing their first title in over 2 decades. That is the weight of history and expectation that hangs over this team. Every decision Arteta makes is scrutinized through that lens. Can this team finally end the drought? Do they have what it takes mentally and tactically to go all the way? If Arsenal is truly 5 points clear as the corrected information suggests, that is a significant advantage. But the Premier League is a marathon, not a sprint. There are injury crises, fixture congestion, pressure moments, and the relentless quality of teams like Manchester City who never go away. Arsenal needs to be firing on all cylinders, not relying on one player, to maintain that advantage. Final thoughts. So here's where we land on this story. The article raises legitimate tactical questions about Arsenal's attack, the over-reliance on Saka, and how Madueke might fit into the solution. Micah Richards makes valid points about needing more creativity from different sources and sharing the burden across the team. However, the article is undermined by significant factual errors about dates, scorelines, lead positions, and player details. That makes it hard to trust the overall narrative when basic facts are wrong. What we can say with confidence is this. Arsenal has a talented squad with quality attacking options. Noni Madueke has shown he can score goals. Bukayo Saka is carrying a heavy creative burden. The team's top scorers only having 4 goals each by mid-December is a concern. And Mikel Arteta faces genuine tactical decisions about how to maximize his attacking resources while maintaining defensive solidity. The Everton match will be another test. Not the biggest game of the season, but every match matters in a title race. How Arteta sets up the team, whether he makes changes or sticks with what has been working, will tell us a lot about his thinking and his confidence in different players. For us Arsenal fans, we just want to see the team playing with freedom, creating chances from multiple sources, and putting teams away convincingly. If that means Madueke gets more opportunities, great. If it means getting more from Martinelli and Trossard, excellent. Whatever it takes to end that title drought and bring the Premier League trophy back to North London. That is all for today's episode of Arsenal Daily Talk. Remember to like this video if you found the analysis helpful. Subscribe to the channel for daily Arsenal content, and drop a comment below telling me what you think Arteta should do. Should Madueke start against Everton? How do we solve the goal-scoring distribution problem? I want to hear your thoughts. Until next time, Gooners, keep the faith and come on you Gunners.